We're live.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Unprinted Pages with our wonderful guests, Joshua Lloyd Fox and Heather I should have asked this. Daughrity? Daughrity? How do I say it properly?
It's just Daughrity.
Daughrity, thank you. And I am blessed to have two partners today, two co-hosts, Dr. Raz T. Slasher and Patty Harris. And we get to learn about the amazing authors that do ghost stories and sci-fi fantasy, and they have a publishing company, a married couple with a publishing company. I am so grateful to get another one to interview on the show. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you will please tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, go for it.
I like long walks on the beach, poetry and by moonlight, blondes. I'm Joshua Lloyd. My real name is Joshua Daughrity, but I asked my grandfather if I could use Fox to write my books, and he said only if they're good. So here I am. I was a solo writer, kind of an indie writer of sci-fi fantasy for a couple of years. Decided I developed a marketable new ability to put out good books. Somewhere in there, I married one of my fans, and who also had her own press, and here we are.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Married one of your fans, huh?
How we met in person for the first time. It's my favorite story.
Okay, I'll tell it in a minute.
If you're going to get married, you ought to marry one of your fans. I mean, that just makes sense.
Or your publisher if you can't afford her.
That's true.
What?
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
Editor.
Sorry.
Okay. You just. Okay. So I'm Heather Daughrity. I started out writing with Heather Miller because that was my name when I was married to the other guy. I write horror. I edit not only for our company but for several other publishers.
Oh no,
I think we got a freeze.
Uh-oh.
Our guests seem to have frozen
Are we
to the
here?
internet. Yes, I can hear you finally.
My internet?
Okay.
Sorry.
Just disappeared.
It's spotty Wi-Fi.
I don't know what you heard last. I read books, I edit books. I did meet him in person for the first time at one of his book signings. That is true. I don't know that I would call myself a fan. That sounds. I don't want to be a fangirl, but we did a book signing. We did end up talking and then dating and then getting married and then living in the book world together.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
That is awesome.
That is awesome.
I will say there's definitely something to be said when your dream is books and book world and bookish things, and then you meet. It's got to be more than coincidence, right? When you meet somebody who's so perfect for you, they even had the same dream you had before you ever met. That's how does that happen? I'm gonna stop looking at your porcelain mouth though.
It looks like she would like you to.
What does that mean? I don't know how to process that in relation to this. We'll talk about that later.
I thought that was
Also, I still am missing.
I like that. We'll talk about that later.
So you named your publishing company after a place you'd love to go as a kid?
Yeah. Wow, you're like the first interviewer who kind of knew that. Yeah, it's a real place. Watertower Hill exists. I grew up at a place called Kaplan Ranch outside of Amarillo, Texas. I lost both my parents very young, and they stuck me out there. But behind my dorm was this big field in the Indian River Valley, and it had a real water tower up on top. And I would go sit up there because it was the only place you could sit and like kind of, I call it like see the lights of town, but it's like just basically looking off towards, when I graduate from here and I leave, I'm going there. And so I would sit up there and just think up stories. What did I want to do as an adult, stuff like that. And I tell people that's kind of where I became a man up on top there. I kind of figured myself out. And so when I started this company, knowing I wanted to publish my own books and later other people's books, it was a no-brainer. Watertower Hill it's been such a part of my life. It's just, and I don't even care if people can't pronounce it correctly or anything. I like it.
That is an awesome name for your publishing company.
Thanks. And the water tower on the logo is the water tower that I grew up on. We just took the Boys Ranch thing off, and are using that one. Let's get this.
That is cool. How did you guys decide you wanted to come together and actually do this together? What sparked that idea? Was it a special conversation about a book, or was it something that happened? For me, it was multiple publishing companies.
Yeah, sorry, we're just trying to get the
feedback off
our speaker.
I fixed it. It should be good now.
Oh, it is good. Thank you.
I fixed. I was. That's why I kept disappearing and coming back, because I was sorting it out on the back end. I got you.
Yeah, no, you. Hey, if you can come run like my nephew's bar mitzvah, I'd appreciate that. That's awesome. And I'm not even Jewish. That's the craziest part. No, can you ask the question again? I'm so sorry.
What sparked the want to come together and make the publishing company yourselves? Was it just wanting to make your own, or was there others that you tried and it didn't work out?
Yeah. So you want me to answer this one first?
Well,
it's different for both of us.
It's kind of two stories. So
yeah, it's kind of two stories. So my story is pretty simple. I wrote 2 novels and I queried the crap out of them. I got an agent. One was nonfiction, one was fiction, kind of a science fiction romance. And they took me up to New York, took me to the 33rd floor, put down a contract in front of me that paid me pennies on their dollars. And I said, you know what? I got kind of a neat background working government programs. I think I could probably do this myself instead of sign this. I put the pen down. I said, no, thank you. And they said, find your own way home. So I kept writing, and I was just started researching what's this indie world, what's different between it and the traditional publishers. Why do authors like traditional publishers better than hybrid or indie or anything? And I was single for a lot of years and I had a lot of time on my hands. So it was mostly research and trial and error. And then once I I got kind of a big step up when I started getting into like Barnes and Noble book signings and stuff, and learning what consignment book signings were and stuff like that. And I don't take no for an answer. So once I started doing that, I started getting the notice of other people in the industry going, okay, how'd you do this? We know you just started and stuff. And so I was like, well, here's what I did, right? I approached it from a corporate level instead of just a writer level, because they disrespect the hell out of indie writers. But they don't, when you come and say, I have a publishing company, let's talk. And they're like, okay. So we were actually, or I was at a Barnes & Noble book signing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, inviting some of my Facebook friends and trying to get them signings as well. Because people are like, I'll never get a signing at Barnes & Noble. It's super simple. And she came, and that's where we met. And so after that, I started seeing that people were telling me my books looked really good for an indie publisher doing it by myself. I learned internal formatting, which I kind of already did for my government program or my government work. I'm a technical writer for the government. And so I just have this really weird mixture of abilities to put a really nice book together. And when I met Heather, she already had her own press. So absorbing the two together, it just made perfect sense. You want to talk about how you did yours?
How I did mine. I didn't do that much. I started out, I was a writer. Actually, I guess I started out as a reviewer, which is how I sort of got my foot in the door with the horror community. And then I started writing my own books. And after I had written a couple of books, I thought, my dream job really is to put together and edit an anthology. So the publisher that I was working with, my book, had said, you can be the person in charge of that for us. And so I was very excited about it and had like a whole list of anthology ideas. And then he said, oh, I don't know when we're ever going to get to that because we don't really have the money for it. So I was like, well, crap. I really want to do that. So I decided I would just do it myself and put it out under a press of my own that originally was going to be anthologies only, because I love that more than anything else, putting together anthologies. So I had started Parlor Ghost Press, which was mine, and I had started work the very beginning stages of the anthology House of Haunts, which Josh is about to show. I can see him pulling it up.
I followed that one very closely. Like I almost submitted something for that one. Like I love the setup you guys did for that anthology. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I was in the very beginning stages of that, and only sort of halfway knew what I was doing as far as the actual publishing part. And so when we started talking, I said, well, here's what I'm doing. And he was like, I can help you with a lot of that. And I was like, okay, I could use a lot of help. So, and then of course I am an editor and his books needed editing. So we sort of realized that if we put together his skill set and my skill set, we could be a whole publishing company. I mean, we can't do covers. We do have somebody else who does covers, but everything else we can pretty much do ourselves.
I already had that line in, and she's worked out quite well.
Yeah, we have a great cover artist.
So yeah, so it just worked out. When we got married, she had things in motion, and so did I, and we just helped each other. And House of Haunts, I think, came out 50 times better than maybe it would have, but then so has my books being re-edited and recovered and stuff. So it's such a great, again, like I said, there's no way this was a coincidence, right? She needed exactly my skill set and I needed exactly hers. And it helps that we fell in love and that we are stupidly cute together. So yeah,
I'll give you
now we're marketing the Josh and Heather show, I guess.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I follow you guys on Facebook. As far as Facebook couples go, like, you guys are at the top of my list, man. You guys legit do take like the cutest pictures and stuff together, and the loving messages you guys pass forth, even the funny ones, are absolutely epic. Like, it's a treat to watch.
You know, what's funny is we both come from failed long-term relationships, and I think that there is no such thing as success without a lot of failure. You fail your way to success in business, in life, but also in love. And I don't know a whole lot of people in this generation, in this world now, that's still married to their very first love from like 12 or 13. and they're the rarest people. They're like the unicorns, right? But most of us have a lot of
Jenny.
failed marriages. We have a lot of failed heartbreak. We learned a lot of things on the way. So yeah, we're cute and stuff, but those messages you see is intentional words of affirmation to each other. The cute pictures are intentional dates, intentional working things together. And even when we get on each other's nerves when it comes to like the business and stuff like that, I'm still like, okay, put the book stuff away. Let's remember who we are. And the intentionality is so important. We have to. I'm not letting this one not work. You know what I mean? Like I was single for like 5.5 years. I'm not doing it anymore. But I did learn a lot during that time off. So
that's awesome.
I didn't know I was a unicorn. Thank you.
You are a unicorn, Jenny. You are a unicorn.
And those are the most beautiful relationships. Unfortunately, they're very, very, very rare in today's world, right?
They really are.
I got lucky. My parents died, and he's like, "No, I'm not leaving you." So, but what has been the biggest goal that you guys have set as a partnership in this publishing company that you have went over that you don't see a lot of other publishing companies coming together to do?
Well, there's a lot to that. We want to be different. We want to stand out, and we use our backgrounds, both of our backgrounds, for that. Like, I was in the military for a really long time. I worked for the DoD for 20 years, and I know how to run a team, at least from a military standpoint. Maybe not a family so great, but I can run a team. I can lead people, and a lot of the ways of leading people that I've learned in recent years is that you need to put them first. And so we set our motto here at Watertower Hill that we're family centric and people first, meaning I'm not chasing the buck. I'm not about the money, because I learned a long time ago, when you don't chase money, you have money. It's crazy. And so I don't publish more than one book a month right now, because I want that personal time with the author to let them know not only is their book going to be the best thing I can put out, but I'm as passionate about their book succeeding as they are. And they're going to get all my gifts and abilities and hard ass work to get it done, or both of ours. And so when we first sat down and started talking about, well, I'd already had the company established, but I really wanted her input as sort of like the mom of this family. Like, okay, I got the business rules in place. I know what I need. I can set up all the logistical stuff. Now you come in here and just complete the picture. And I don't want to get into like gender roles and all that other stuff, but when it works, it really works, right? I can stay fully in my masculine and as like the boss and stuff. And she can stay completely in her feminine as the editor and the hard ass. And I get to be the good cop. She's the bad cop.
Wait, I think we're going backwards here.
No, but the goal was, to answer your question, the goal was to be different. And everybody says they want to be different, but they don't really know what that means. And for us, it's all about the people first, always, always. So we just put out videos and stuff of our first author, besides us, our first author's release party. And one of the things that John said was he couldn't believe that his dreams were coming true because we cared as much about his book that, you know, as he did. And God, I got to tell you, that people first approach is to me the only way to succeed in this industry. And, you know, nothing against the publishers that publish 30, 40, 50 books a year. How do you have the time to give the personal one-on-one, answer all the questions, answer all the text messages, make sure they understand the contracts and all that stuff? How do you give that, at least in my estimation, publishing, you know, 50 books a year? I'd rather publish a lot less books a year, but have fantastic family relationships with my authors.
That
Did I
is
steal
awesome.
hot chocolate?
You did steal. Yeah, see the lipstick on it? That's mine.
That's not my lipstick. Oh, yeah, that is your lipstick. Hey, you drink from the right-hand side. I'll drink from the left-hand side.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I am getting like straight dive bombed by one of my cats. He keeps like jumping on like 50 different objects from across the room just to come down to me, and is diving over my computer monitor, trying to jump onto my soundboard. And I keep trying to catch him and move him and put him down. and then he just runs to the other side of the room and starts the whole process. And each
He wants to
run takes him like 3 or 4 minutes to complete a cycle just to get back over here, and he's done it 8 times in a row now.
Oh wow, he's persistent.
That's Crowley for you.
You said that you are a horror author, and is it mainly ghost stories, or do you like to do other types of horror?
I do write mainly ghost stories. That's always been my favorite kind of story to read. I like a good, creepy, goosebumpy kind of tale. I grew up on like old school horror. Like I was in middle school reading Edgar Allan Poe, you know, the Victorian Gothic horror authors. That's what I grew up on. That's kind of my favorite thing. It's my comfort reading. So my writing definitely reflects that. I've also been compared to Shirley Jackson a lot. So it's sort of an old school Gothic horror meets psychological with a hint of feminism thrown in there. People tend to tell me that my stories make them cry, which was not not like it scared them so much they cried, but like it made them so sad they cried, or like they could really relate to the emotions that some character was having. And I didn't really set out to write like that, but I guess it's my style. It's becoming my style. I don't always write ghosts. I've written a few things that were the most sort of out of character story I ever wrote was for the Headblown anthology for Texas AuthorCon last year, which I ended up not actually being able to go to Texas AuthorCon, but my story was still in the book. And
she was getting married.
I was getting married. We got married that weekend. But it was like extreme horror. This anthology theme was extreme horror. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. So my extreme horror is probably the tamest extreme horror in that book, but it was extreme for me. And I did get my story kicked out of an anthology once because it had too much detailed violence to children. So I'm sure most people would probably be very surprised to learn that about me. And I was like, oh, I guess
you were finding your way.
Maybe I was really mad at my kids that day. I don't know.
Well, I will say she writes in a way that even big name horror people are like, wow. Like Clay McLeod Chapman sent the blurb for her newest book today, and I had to put one line on the cover that wasn't even in his blurb of it. It was at the end of the email. And I texted him. I said, Clay, can I put this on the cover? Are you okay with it? It's yeah. And it was, I don't think the world is ready for this one. So that's just her writing will kick you in the teeth, not in a splatter, bloody way, but like, oh my God, I can't believe she just wrote that.
I like to say it'll punch you in the gut. It'll hit you in the feels, as the kids probably don't actually say anymore, but used to say. It will hit you in the feels. I guess that's my sadistic way of getting to people.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I picked up tales my grandmother told me like I think right as you were releasing as soon as it became available. And one thing I've noticed is you don't just write a character, you take a lot of things. I mean, I don't know this because I don't know you personally, but it seems like you take a lot of real things and things that are very real to you, and you find ways to incorporate that into characters. And those characters come off the page at you when you do that kind of thing as a writer. And I think that is why other people and myself have found the characters so emotional, because they're not cardboard characters. These are 3D representations that you have managed to stick into a page, and they literally pop off the page at you. And that's not something you see as often as we would all like as readers, in my opinion.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Yeah, she's a pro at character development. That's for damn sure.
I definitely put a lot of my own emotions into characters, my own experiences, that I've seen other people I know go through. My newest book, which comes out next month, Echoes of the Dead, there are several stories in it that are very personal, and anybody who really, really knows me is going to be able to be like, I know exactly where that came from and where that came from and where that came from, which is probably why it's making people cry so much. But yeah,
you're like Nicholas Sparks mixed with.
I'm the Nicholas Sparks of horror. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say Nicholas Sparks meets Shirley Jackson. That's where.
I'm down with that. Actually, what did Josh gave me the other day? I was like, that's the best compliment anybody's ever given me. Who did you carry?
Oh, I said you were a mixture of Edgar Allan Poe, Mary Shelley, Shirley Jackson, and
somebody else.
I can't remember who I said. It was brilliant at the time.
It was gorgeous. I was like, wow.
I can see Mary Shelley too. Yeah.
I see so much of your, especially Mary Shelley with the Gothic darkness.
Yeah.
She has and I have the blessing of getting to know her personality as well. And most writers do bleed on the page, her a little bit more than most. But the thing about it is she's really introverted. So you have to really dig to kind of get to know her. And when you see the conjunction between who she's writing on the page and who she is in real life, the crazy part is like when you can get past her like sullen silence, which she gets from her father, and her like hardcore like outer toughness, she's the same as most of those characters. And I think the most brilliant writers, who a lot of them we don't keep around for a long time, it's really scary like that, but they write this beauty because they see and are those things. And man, those of us who swim on the surface, man, we can only look at that like the sun.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Sorry,
we're laughing because like we write this stuff, but we laugh about it next to each other. As we're like, hey, I'm going to say this about you. No, it is true. It is true.
Awesome, man. It's awesome.
But some of us bleed deeper and darker than others. Some it's heart blood, and some it's just a little from a finger prick.
You saying you bleed my heart blood?
You do. You're the thick, visceral black blood.
Yeah.
One of those.
That's one of my favorites.
That is true poetry, honestly.
Definitely.
Is there one ghost story that you have written that you wish more people would talk about?
Oh my God, yes.
Some of the ones in the story that's in this book that's coming out. And actually, I know the story that Josh wants to tell you about the story that I wrote, so I'm going to let him do it.
Guys, seriously. So we were together in person for 3 or 4 days. Like we had talked for a long time before that, and we were friends for even longer. But we were like in the same vicinity for a few days. And she gave me these because she was telling me about Echoes. It wasn't called Echoes at the time, but she's like, well, here's these short stories I've written. She's like, try this one first because it's from a male perspective. And when you pick up Echoes, it's called Demons. It's towards the back of the book. I'm a ferocious reader. Like I have read hundreds and thousands of books. I love it. I decorate in books, right? Like most of us. And
Yes.
the last like brilliant thing that I read was probably 10, 15 years ago. And it was probably something silly like Ready Player One or something, but it was the nostalgia. It was the feels. It was the like, I have to read this book every year because I love it so much. It just spoke to me. So I read this short story, Demons. And for one, I hate reading on a screen, and she only had an electronic version of it. I can't explain to you other than saying it was the best thing I read in 10, 15 years. There was not a word in that short story that wasn't perfectly placed like a brick on a wall. It's still the best thing I've read. I'm writing a horror book right now because I want my wife to respect me. That's the way I feel right now. So I can't wait for everybody to get that book and read even that. But the other stories are fantastic. The ones from a female perspective, especially. But even from a male perspective, I couldn't believe how this woman put that story together. And it has nothing to do with anything I know about her. It was pure imagination. You're not an alcoholic. Your father wasn't an alcoholic. No. Your father's still alive. Yes. Other than like having to go back to the small town you grew up in, which you didn't really, because you never really left it. There was like nothing of that I could go, you have real experience with this. So it was like, as Willy Wonka would say, a world of pure imagination. And it still gives me chills. And that's when I fell in love with her. That was it. That was the moment.
So yeah, that's the story that I'm really hoping people will, well, not just that one. That's your favorite, but there's 8 stories in this book, and I would say probably half of them are what I'm like, these are my best things I've ever written. So y'all read that book, please. There's some good stuff in there.
It's planned. I have to get it,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
have to share it with my mother-in-law, and we have to read it.
And you know, you're on a show with us. That means when it comes out, you got to give us the links so that way we can promote them on all our channels and everything as well. Because if
Yes.
you guys at home have not read their stuff, what the fuck are you doing in your lives? Like, seriously, pick this up, read it, look at it. It is amazing, and you will not regret it for a second.
I only just found out about them. Give me a little bit. I will have read them all. Just give me a bit.
She's not kidding. She will probably within the next week buy everything out and then just bug you. Hey, is anything coming out yet? Because I need to buy it now. Now, where's it at?
Well, we have plenty for you to read.
Funny thing is, 9 times out of 10, the Paycor blog, the one that we run, actually promotes other companies' books more often than our own, because she ends up promoting ours on all the other social media sites.
Yep.
So I end up, oh, okay, let's share this book here and this book here, just so I have something to share on the blog.
Yeah, and we'll share this stuff too. This has been a lot of fun. And we have, like, I think 3 of the 4 people watching are our authors, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
Well, our
I will go
family.
through your website, and the next 5 books we post will be books from your catalog
Oh,
for
appreciate it.
our Saturday thing. Okay, you said you are a sci-fi fantasy author, and
am.
I have found in the world of sci-fi fantasy that could mean anywhere, any
It's
planet,
all,
any
speculative
dimension.
fiction.
Can I talk about yours like you talked about mine?
I think you
Yes,
should. I think you need
please.
to.
Okay, here's
We
the
need to
brilliant
find
thing
it out.
about his series.
Oh, as the
Frozen.
internet goes out.
No, it's fine.
No.
It's fine. So Josh's series is the Archangel Missions, and the glorious thing about them is they are urban fantasy, I guess you'd call it. But every book in the series, and there's 5 so far, he's working on number 6, is a different like subgenre of fantasy. Like the first one is urban fantasy, but it's really a romance with
Well,
some
it's got the
sci-fi
sci-fi.
stuff in it. And then the second one is a serial killer book from the point of view of the serial killer, and you'll actually in the beginning be like, oh my god, this horrible person, and then by the end you're like, I totally get what this serial killer is doing. So that's the thing.
Like, if I can make you want to kill people, I did my job.
And then the third one is apocalyptic fantasy sci-fi, way in the future, like 300 years in the future. But they're all brought together by these angels and the creator, which is sort of God and sort of not, but they're definitely not preachy angel God books, trust me.
I cuss, got a lot of sex, interracial relationships, because I like to tell the truth.
Nice.
He has a bit of do you have bitterness?
No, I just have a soapbox. Is that the same thing?
He's had some of his. Josh and I were both raised in very conservative Christian environments, and some of the people from his past have sort of what's a good word?
I don't know. Spit on my face.
Rejected him, boycotted him, whatever you want to call it, his books because there's sex in them or gay characters or whatever. And he's just like, this is what the world's really like, guys. I don't know what to say. But anyway, his books are fantasy and they're sci-fi, but they're also like everything else. The last one was a Western, so it's a fantasy sci-fi Western, which was great because, you know, I'm from Oklahoma and he's from Texas, so he has that cowboy landscape. And I just heard the character's voice in like as Josh's voice with when he gets his Texas drawl going on. But yeah, they're brilliant books, and they have this. Each story is its own story, but there's this overarching theme that goes through them all and connects them all. And he's about to get into the part where all the different parts from the first 5 books kind of come together, leading up to this giant epicness in the last book.
I just kill everybody.
No, you don't. I mean, I don't know if you do or not, but I hope not.
I'm an epic writer, so her stories will kick you in the teeth because they're like pinpoint emotional 1 character, 2 character things. I like to create whole worlds I like to have big themes with very few words. Somebody just compared me. What did they say? I was Neil Gaiman written by Hemingway. Yeah. So I like iceberg writing, like huge big ideas in very few words. So yeah, that's my series.
And not to put the pressure on you guys or nothing, but that 5 viewer count that you're seeing, that's this one streaming source. We are streaming to so many platforms. You guys are actually being viewed by 92 people right now.
Oh wow!
Ooh.
So no pressure or nothing, no pressure.
Nah. Bring them on.
It's kind of annoying that 92 people can see my head looking like this.
Hey, if it gets over 100, I'll take my shirt off.
I'll let you know. I will let you know, sir. I'm right now. I'm gonna go on Facebook. Listen, if you want to see this man without a shirt, you got to come in here, man. We got to get these numbers.
Yeah, no. But
and then Facebook
on our
banners.
side, when I said that, it all froze. I thought, oh, did I break the internet?
That's a sign, man.
I'm just no. I shouldn't say that.
I'll say it. We're all family here.
I'm just gonna say that probably there's more people who would rather see me do that.
Well, that's probably because when I mention it, people leave. So.
Well,
we actually got our stuff banned one night on Facebook for nudity, and there was none whatsoever on the show. Our buddy Ron did this head down, and he's bald, and I don't know if people just tuned in and saw it and maybe thought his head was a boob. We're not sure exactly what happened, but we actually got hit for nudity, and all our other sources we were still streaming to fine, but Facebook was just like nope. So apparently they're on that whatever they think is nudity pretty quickly.
That's funny.
Who just shows one boob? I mean, come on.
I know. And how would it be just in the air with nothing else?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how that works. Anatomy.
All Facebook. Yeah, so that's our books, but right now we're kind of caught up in all of our authors' books. So, and we're finding a hard time getting our own writing in as we get bigger and bigger. But do you find that too? Like when you're publishing, I don't know if you publish and write, but do you have to balance that a little bit?
Absolutely. I have most of the time, if I do more than one book in a month, the second book is my own. And I have more trouble squeezing the writing time in than I do anything. And I write as not only Patricia Harris, but also as Serena Mossgraves. So, yeah, finding time to write is fun.
Yeah, I don't publish. I only write at this point. But it's books. I'm a big I've written a bunch of creepypastas, no sleep stuff like that. So my balancing is just what I want to publish and what I want to give people for free on Reddit, and I can never decide how to value myself enough to know the difference.
Mm-hmm. I think I spend more time doing their stuff than mine sometimes. But I think that's one of the things that drew me to you, Heather, because I absolutely love ghost stories. I love writing ghost stories. I love reading ghost stories and watching them. And then Raz is like, there's ghost stories. And I'm like, okay, I must find her and get all her stuff. And then I found out sci-fi. Dude, I sleep to sci-fi. So
yeah, I will say it's I think the one blessing in writing different genres is we have not been in competition with each other at all. It's just not a thing. We build each other up. I think if we wrote the same genre, there may be some not out there feelings of that way, but surely inside, right? Because we both brought our own platforms into this.
You say after you told them you're writing a horror novel?
Yeah, but it's still not like horror. It's based
I'm going to
on
stop
a real...
you there. I'm going to stop you there, man, because horror is actually a lot of different things to a lot of people. I've done master's theses on what horror is, and what might be only kind of horror to you can be someone's everything in horror. It's a very different genre in terms of that.
To tell you the truth, and I hate to admit this because she's going to laugh, it's actually a lot like hers. It's more emotion-driven, psychological. Like, my God, can two people do that to each other kind of thing? It's basically just based in the late 1800s, where there was a real diagnosis called moral insanity, where if you were just antisocial at all, they'd stick you into an asylum and shock your brain till you were normal. And my God, could you imagine how many people would be in insane asylums today if that was a thing?
I think the world would
All
just
of us
be
would all be
an insane asylum.
But
it'd be like under the dome, like every city would just have its own dome and we would all just live in it.
yeah, but I always wondered, or I always wanted to kind of write from a first person perspective of a very unfair, I think being put into a very unfair situation where you have no control and you shouldn't be there is the most horrific thing I can imagine, you know. And so being pulled out of your home by doctors and given shock treatment and all this psychotropic medication just because you're different, like, to me, that's a horrific situation. So that's what I'm writing. It's called In the Shadows They Wait.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
A movie I love, Clerks, of all movies. The reason why he named the main character Dante and he wasn't supposed to be here today was actually this weird thing that he was doing with Dante's character about the different levels of Dante's Inferno and what it was like to, you know, run a Quickie Mart on your day off. And he actually looked at Dante's perspective as like the horror side of what Clerks was, you know, ended up becoming. So it's odd that you say that, like, thrust into position and how differently that can be from day-to-day things to, you know, more serious things like you're discussing.
I mean, can you imagine the horror of being in a straitjacket and you don't know why and you can't get out and you have to wait for somebody else to come let you out? Like, they have total control over you. I can't think of a more, especially as a man, I can't think of a more horror-filled experience. So that's why I'm writing it.
Sounds terrifying,
and they
honestly.
put a straitjacket on the owl.
Yeah, I had to share with you. It's like we have one.
Yeah, that's one of our shows we do. It's a lot about mental health, where we're just open and honest about mental health, and then we scroll out and talk about whatever we feel like. We don't even run ads on that show or like profit on it. It's just our chilling out show, the Padded Cell.
I love it. So yeah, it's Christy Aldridge is signed on to design the front cover. Susan Rohde's going to create the wrap. Obviously, Heather will edit it. And the big thing about this book, Heather has been talking a lot about wanting to learn the ins and outs of the business side of publishing a novel, the logistics, the setting up the invoicing, setting up the distribution channels and stuff. And so I've asked her to fully publish this book under Parlor Ghost Press as her first cover-to-cover publishing experiment. So this is going to be fully published by Heather Daughrity at Parlor Ghost Press.
With a little help, I'm sure, from Josh.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you do this, babe? What am I doing here? What does this do if I click this button? No, I shouldn't click this button. You know, there's going to be a lot of that.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Oh, yeah. That doesn't work for me usually. I had that problem today.
It also doesn't work on life machines, I've found out.
I wish it
Life
did, though.
machine?
I really wish it did.
You never saw that joke? Somebody's like, oh, they passed away.
You mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they're like, well, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on?
Yep. It did not bring them back to life at all, but it was a valiant attempt.
Okay, speaking of the ads, let's go ahead and do those and then continue.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductibus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Hello, and we're back. Please
Y'all
continue
missed
telling
it.
us.
Off. Y'all just didn't see it. He had to change. He was hot.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, well, we turned off
98.
the air because so we could hear everything, and that shirt was really tight. And I think tight equals hot at my age now. I was like, F it, I'm putting on a t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Like that's already a whole wardrobe change if you're keeping track at home. One wardrobe change so far for the show,
Yep.
So you are publishing other people's books. Tell us about that.
So our very first, we didn't sign John first. It's just his book fell first. So we have signed, I believe, 14 authors in all now. We have a couple that we haven't announced yet that are coming out in 2025. We're still doing the contracts with them, but we hung our shingle last fall and started taking submissions. And this last Monday was our very first release day of a book, Not Minor Heathers. And it has gone fantastic. His name is John Cady. He wrote a YA dark fantasy about a girl that tried to get in some gangs in LA and couldn't quite pull it off. And then she gets caught in like a drive-by and she dies. And then she wakes up as a angel of death. They conscript her because she couldn't take a life in real life. Now in death, she has to go around and give people the kiss of death. And it's a coming to age story of an angel of death who's trying to save her friends, those same gang members, from being like taken over into like the evil army or something. I don't want to get too preachy because it is a Christian YA, but it has just blown up. The author, John Cady, is an amazing man. He has the coolest job working with kids that are in detention facilities as an English teacher. He's got cool parents. He's got a lot of good friends around him up there near Boston. His wife is amazing. And so what I wanted to do when I started publishing authors is not just look at the story or like what we can do with the book. I wanted to look at the author's lives because I think you can market a person pretty damn well, right? And I also wanted to see, like, when they say, hey, we just got signed by Watertower Hill, if they have 75 people saying, congrats, wow, that's amazing. I mean, to me, that's like 75 book sales, right? And so one of the things I like to do is just do a little research as a publisher into their platform. And if I feel like they have a good sense of community and they work in our kind of family centric way of doing things here, we can sell some books. And we proved it with John's. He hit #1 on Amazon's YA fantasy. He hit #1, 2, 3, and 4 on Ingram Sparks young adult fantasy on their iPage. So bookstores were looking at it, and he got 2 huge mass retail orders in. One was from Target, and the other one I think is either BAM or Barnes and Noble. I mean, we're talking 50 hardbacks here. They bought all at once. And so, the experiment worked. Everything we did with our books started work, and that was all in pre-sales, by the way. So if he would have taken a royalty, or a advance from me, which he was the only author that did it, he would have already earned it out in pre-sales. And so the experiment's working. So our next book is obviously Heather's Echoes of the Dead comes out in April. Then we go all the way out to California. We signed a college professor named Patrick Fontes, Dr. Fontes, who wrote a I'm going to say it wrong. A Latino vampire saga. This is book 1. This guy's imagery, let me tell you about this one scene. There's this coven of vampires in Fresno, California, and there's this alley of like homeless people because homelessness is really bad out there right now. And they start throwing like these bags of meth down into this alleyway behind some warehouses. And of course, all the homeless people are all meth heads and stuff. And they all start like free basing the meth. And they give it about a half an hour, and the vampires come through there and like suck the meth blood because it gets the vampires high.
We like to call that scene the Meth Head Massacre.
It's the Meth Head Massacre. Another one, he has a baby vampire crawling around in a woman's chest cavity with like the legs stretched out from like between the breasts. And it was like, the guy's he's got some real chops. And so I don't know anything about that culture, but man, the support he had, his students and everybody and then if you just look at his page, he does these amazing like AI South American old style kind of Mexican artwork and stuff. And I'm like, I think this guy's going to be legit. And so, yeah, we got that coming out in May. We switch gears a little bit, and we have a spiritual religious fiction book coming out by a woman named P.B. Lamb. Wesley Smith, who actually just kind of went crazy with his, what's the book that Wicked House did?
Some Kind of Truth.
Some Kind of Truth. Wesley Smith, Some Kind of Truth. That was his first novel. He signed with us for In the Pale Light, which will be his next thriller. We do John Cady's second book of the series. We have Mur Winery, who's like one of my favorite people on the entire planet. He gave us a set of short stories called Obscene Folklore. And, it really feels like, because we are working with a lot of the same people like we became friends with in House of Haunts, or, and even in House of Haunts, I told everybody it was your book. But man, I told all the contributors, like, your family now. Anything you guys want to publish, we're your people. So a lot of them took that to heart. And and we have James Lawson Moore. He's a crazy poet out in Virginia. He's like a slam poet guy. He's amazing. James Moore's got a book coming out with us in September. Let's see here. We're doing part 2 of House of Haunts. You're about to send out the letters for those, aren't you?
As soon as I get them written, yes.
A lot of the same people are coming back from House of Haunts, and this one's called Hospital of Haunts. We've had the cover out for almost a year. It looks really good. And then we're going to round out the year with for Hospital of Haunts.
Yeah, is that something you guys are going to have like an open submission call to fill extra spots with, or?
Well, here's the thing about those books. You can't really do a normal submission call because, like with House of Haunts, there's 23 rooms. So we had 23 specific rooms, and I literally had to approach people one at a time, say, are you interested? Okay, pick your room. All right, cross it off. Find somebody else. And I had to go through that till I had 23 people. And I did do a thing last year when I was getting that one first started. It was originally only going to be 12 rooms and 12 stories, but there was so much interest in it that I added on rooms. And then I had all but like 2 of the rooms filled. And I said, is anybody interested in writing this? And to fill those 2 rooms, I had like 60 people who wanted to be in it. And that was really cool, but also really terrible because I had to tell so many people no. So for this one, I'm going to say at least half of the people from House of Haunts are going to come back. And then we've had a few people that we've talked to that weren't in that one that have expressed an interest in the new one. So I kind of have to go through and see exactly what I've got and if there's any space left for the next one. And then we'll kind of go from there.
That's a really nice way of saying the first one garnered so much interest.
Oh, including for me. I was actually one of the people that, like, by the time I found out about it, I think I was like the 40th some person in the list of people that had contacted you.
Yeah. So in order to not hurt feelings and stuff in this industry, and because there is so much interest, we almost have to do it by invitation. And so, we had Josh Malerman write for the first, the foreword. We had Clay McLeod Chapman, Gage Greenwood. So we've made like real relationships with a lot of people. And so we're going to have to do this one by invitation because it hurts people's feelings. We don't have 60, 80, 120 spots. So.
Right.
I will, however, be doing, not this year, probably starting next year, I'm going to be doing other anthologies as well that I can just do open submission calls for. So that'll be just like whoever wants to send it in.
Nice.
Yeah.
so much drama in the industry right now. Every day it's a new what's it called? Scandal. It's a new scandal every day.
We don't do scandal here.
It's so bad, man. I've heard of literally 3 just this week, like that I've actually like known people involved in. I'm just like, oh my god, guys! Like, what I notice is it's more of all the genres, the least dramatic one appears to be horror, although it's got its own problems, definitely. It's just weird how everything just turns out, and it's like, guys, we're all indie. Let's just be good human beings, and be there for each other when we can, and understand that we're human, and we're all gonna make mistakes and move on. But people don't see it that way.
Unfortunately, no. In signing on new authors. Are you back?
Yeah, we're back. Sorry.
All right, sorry, that just went out on us for a second.
I don't know what's going on with this Wi-Fi. I know it's storming outside right now, so that might be something with it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. They're frozen again.
Yes.
Hi.
Sorry, it's storming really bad outside.
Do you want to end here or try to continue?
No, we're here. I'm sorry. It is storming pretty bad outside, so I think things are the internet's kind of shaky around here.
Okay.
It's not a problem. Not a problem.
In signing on new authors, what has been one of your favorite things you've learned?
Sorry, say that again.
In signing on new authors, what has been one of your favorite things you've learned as a publisher?
Oh.
We could talk about the things we've argued about.
So your original point was when we sign new authors. You need to start marketing their books, even if their book doesn't come out for another year. Heather and I have created this 2-week rotation of posts that she creates, and it's never too soon to start garnering interest in something, right? Especially people that don't have a toehold in the industry. It's up to us as publishers to get the word out that these people are actually really good. And just because you haven't read their books or any books, that doesn't mean anything. There's so many amazing first-time authors. But the one thing we learned is I don't read full manuscripts. I read first 3 pages, and I'll tell you if I'll publish it or not. And she gets so angry at me because I also do every bit of the internal formatting. I wouldn't trust that with anybody else. And so I'm going to read it, every single word, several times as I'm formatting. So I hate doing that initial read. I'm like, hey, I look at their platform. I look at who they are. I look at where they're from. I look at how they're going to interact with our other authors at Watertower Hill, because we're very family. Everybody builds up everybody. That's our rule. And so, but then she'll read a manuscript and she'll say, oh, this sucks. I would never publish this. And I was like, no, I have a lot of confidence in our team to put a kind of a crappy put together story and make it brilliant. And so, and it is amazing how well you can take something that's not, I think we're frozen again, something that's not perfect, but you can make it perfect.
And that is so cool.
Something like the artistry behind the publishing.
It really is. And I don't even know if people realize that. All the behind the scenes stuff publishers do to garner interest in your books, and all the little secret things, like put out a post at a specific time of day when you know that there's more people online, or approach audiences that read. Don't just approach everybody, approach the specific people who read that specific kind of book. Authors don't always know that. And so I think a lot of publishers, even at this level, don't get the respect that that they deserve for doing all the little things to even sell 100 copies,
It's absolutely insane. I watch Jenny go through all that with algorithms on the social media for fake horror, and then she runs all my social medias because I'm dumb about them. And then Patty, I've literally watched authors that didn't know what they were doing scream at her and just lose their shit. And Patty is just like, Just utter patience. Okay, well, that's what we're doing, or that's not what we're doing. I've seen that conversation happen too, and it's like it's hard for me, as an author that also loves them to death, like watch the shit they get put through, and not want to just jump in and grab my chainsaw and travel somewhere and handle it for them. It's heartbreaking sometimes because I see all the things you guys do behind the scenes, and as just an author, like, so much fucking respect goes out to all publishers. And you're right, a lot of authors have no idea what the publishers do and the social media teams and the marketing is. Most readers will never know any of that. So when you see a lot of their reviews, sometimes it's like, okay, you didn't like one thing in a book and you're going to give it a 1 star for one thing. Do you know how many things went in to that book? Not just that one tiny detail because someone didn't research vacuum cleaners from 1959. Okay, cool. Let's complain about that for 20 minutes.
When we did House of Haunts, House of Haunts was really interesting because Heather had an idea that was brilliant. We put in floor plans of Hell House, all the levels of the house and the outside like yards and stuff. And she had them just kind of drawn out by hand on graph paper. And I said, you know what? I've done some drafting before. I've done some CAD work before. Let me see if I can make something better for you. And so I created several different iterations of these floor plans that finally ended up being what's in the book. I don't know if you've seen them.
I have. They're awesome.
Let me see if I can even show them. But it's not just the floor plans. I don't know if I can.
No, you can't show it.
Yeah, just the background. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but the going back and forth for something that looks so, to your point, something that looks so easy in the book or something that looks like took hours and hours, like hundreds of hours to do that. And and it gets mentioned a lot. It gets mentioned how beautiful that book is from an artistic, how it feels, how heavy it is. It's a beautiful book. But the fact that we've gotten like actual, like almost backlash from some of this stuff, I'm like, do you guys have any idea what the hell you're holding in your hand and how many thousands of hours went into that? And how, just give me the book back. You don't deserve the book. And so, but the people who get it and they're like, holy crap, like Josh Malerman wrote us the foreword for that book and he cussed in the email back. He said the F word about how amazing it was. So there are people on the inside, and then I do that for other publishers and things too. When I see a book, like I just saw somebody who you got a review copy in where they had used InDesign, and there was all that like Gothic artwork throughout all of it. It was like the skull artwork and stuff. I know how hard that shit is, and so I gotta be like, I'll text him. I'll be like, holy crap, how'd you do that? That's amazing. It looks brilliant. It looks beautiful. But somebody goes and buys it on the shelf for $12 and they're like, all the books have that. And so, yeah, it gets a little, it definitely gets a little annoying.
I have that moment where I just want to be Jay and Silent Bob from, was it Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where they've got that list of everyone that's ever complained about them on the internet. They're just going down it and knocking on doors and kicking the crap out of people and going to the next one. I think if I ever become a millionaire, I'm just going to start making these lists for all my author friends and publishing houses that I love. You guys can all just give me your names and I'll spend all my money just on flights and, jail fees, to get out of jail every time I kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, well, I can bail you out from every state.
Yeah. It'll be worth it, to do something special with my life for everybody.
I will say, though, after you get a few books under your belt and you start seeing for me, when we went to the release party for John Katie, and I drove home from Boston right after it, so I had like 8.5 hours to think about it. It was the literal speech he gave afterwards where he was like, this was my dream 25 years ago. And hundreds of agents passed on this. And everybody said, nobody wants angels. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants that. And he always thanks us for making his dreams come true. And it's certainly now turned into like, making their dreams come true is like now kind of making mine come true. Like seeing that look in their eyes. And I know I had it in my eyes, like maybe for myself when I first published my first book, but man, it's weird to say this, but like, if I can't get like a big 5 publisher to do that for me, it feels just as good to do it for somebody else, and I think that's what's kind of driving me to do, bullshit.
I think the best. I think for us, the small publishers, the best ones of us are the ones that will tell you the reason they do it is because they want to see that look. I told Raz one time, the reason I do this, I spent so much of my life without a voice. I do this to give other people their voice because I spent so much of my life with my voice stolen. This is my way of making sure nobody else has their voice stolen. This is my way of making sure that people get heard. And I think, like I said, a lot of times the small publishers that are actually worth a damn are the ones that say they're doing it because they want to see that look in the eyes. They want to see the happiness that is going to provide. That joy. It's just a thought, though.
No, I completely get where you're coming from, 100%. We got really mad because the release party didn't go exactly logistically perfect, right? The owner of the place came in and moved our tables around and let strangers come into the tent that we were doing it in and stuff. And so we got really angry at that because we are so adamant about this stuff being so big and perfect and wonderful for them, because I wanted that for myself. I never got that. I took myself out to dinner after I finished my first book. But yeah, it's almost like vicariously, it's just as good, kind of. And yeah, and I want to keep doing that for others. And maybe one day, and I don't know, you put enough love and kindness and goodness into the world, it all comes back. That's what they say. So that sounds kind of selfish, right? I'm doing all this so it comes back to me. But in a way, does anybody is unselflessness an actual real thing? I don't think it really. I think even Mother Teresa sat down at the end of the night and was like, those kids love me. So.
I was talking to my son-in-law who does one of our shows on the network with us, and and haunts with me as well. And he was like, why do you always attach charities to just about everything you do? And I said, well, there's two reasons, man. One, I've spent my entire life doing things for people and asking nothing in return, and that's why I have so many amazing friends and opportunities, because I just say yes and I just do things. Two, and this is the unintended part, you're unintentionally, whether you think about it or not, you're promoting yourself, because when you're a good person, when you work with charities, when you do all these things for people asking nothing in return, people remember that. They remember you as being that person who genuinely cares about others and puts them first. So yeah, there's good press that comes my way because of that. It's not why I'm doing it, but you have to know that that's, still an unintended consequence. So because of that, yes, we can never be selfless, because it just, that's the cycle. That's, that's just how it works.
And I'm not going to apologize for it. I think that's perfectly good, because at the end of the day, I'm still doing good things, right?
Yep, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I just don't want to be a piece of crap. I just want to do good things.
That's number one item on my list every day.
I don't either, but I also feel better knowing that other people draw maps for houses in their stories as well, because yeah.
No, I thought it was a brilliant idea, because as a fantasy guy, I always go to the maps up front, right? I want to see it visually.
Same.
And when you have a haunted house, and you especially have all the stories intermingling with each other, so the stories all take place over a couple 100 years, but they intermingle. And so being able to go back and seeing the map of the rooms next to each other and stuff, I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. And that was her idea. I just wanted to make it pretty.
The map originally was not even necessarily going to be in the book. It was for the authors to be able to look at and know, their room was next to this other room, or if their character looked out the window, what would they be seeing? It was just kind of a visual representation of the house, so people could keep things straight and know that, if there was a knocking coming from up above them, well, what room was up above them? It was really just for the authors to begin with, because we certainly could not have put my my drawings on graph paper into the book, but Josh came along and made them pretty, so there they are. And now he has to draw me plans for a hospital, so that's going to be fun.
Oh man, I super appreciate that because there's not enough maps in horror books. They're in fantasy, and I'm a map guy too, so I love that. I love checking out the map before I read the story, so that I kind of already know where things are. Then I flip back to it 1,000 times. But to have it in horror is especially awesome to me because everything I write is in one town. Every short story, everything is always related to my hometown. So I have this map that's in my head on the way things were when I was growing up in town, the way the town looks now, and all the things I've sort of added in. But then where I manage a haunted attraction here in Ohio, I have to make our floor plans every time we change rooms and move things around. So I'm in CAD and all these programs going. And I live just for a one floor of our 68 scenes this year already. It took me probably a good, I'd say 15 to 18 hours. And that was just the lines of where all the rooms were all matching up, not even the things in them. So like I have a lot of love for anyone that sits down with these programs that puts that much love into it. Because that's what it is, man. It's love.
It is. Yeah. And now I got to figure out this like 1800s hospital in the shape of a cross with a chapel in the middle. Because that's how they did it. They had the women's wards and the men's wards and stuff. And we base it on a real hospital that's in Connecticut. It's a beautiful hospital. We'd love to go because it's not far from where we are now. So when we get this book out, I think we might make a trip up to that hospital and try to do like an on the scene kind of thing.
That is epic.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious about the hospital.
Well,
I'm trying to remember what the name of the real hospital is.
Yeah,
well,
our hospital is Litchhurst.
Litchhurst Hospital is the hospital in the book. I can't remember the name of the real hospital, and that's really terrible.
It's in Connecticut.
Yep. Hang on.
It's really pretty. But yeah, it was built during the Civil War, so it's an 1860s something. If you ever read House of Haunts, there's a narrator. She's taking you through floor by floor. And Heather wrote all those kind of like, and if you come up here, you'll see blah, blah, blah. If you look off to your left, you'll see a haunted stuffed animal. But, and then you come to find out the person giving you the tour through the house is a character from the house, from the original, like all the way back when it was first built. And we're going to kind of do that the same way with the hospital. We really want to continue this theme. What's it called?
It's called Connecticut Valley Hospital.
I just looked it up too. Yeah, I've seen this on some of the Travel Channel shows with paranormal investigators also.
That's not it.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Shoe Hall? No, it's not.
All right,
it was because it's the same picture as on the cover.
Okay, yeah, because it's shaped like a cross if you look at it from the air.
I promise you, it's that one.
That's not the picture you showed me.
No, it's not because
Maybe that is.
Look, Connecticut Valley Hospital.
Connecticut Hospital for the Insane at Middletown.
Yeah.
That's one of the other sides because they've got a bunch of different buildings that were in use for different things. But if you look at it from the air, it's shaped like the cross and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the hospitals, if they weren't like a spoke of a wheel, they were like a cross. So
Yep.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be fun doing those floor plans. But we want to break it up. So House of Haunts was like each floor, and then outside was like the 4 sections. This one we're doing like triage. So triage is done by colors. You have green, yellow, red, and black. And so obviously black is they're already dead. Red's the worst case. Yellow, you can spend some time. And green is I don't know, they twisted an ankle. And then within those colors are the wards. So it's 23 wards, 23 ghosts, 23 stories. And so like you would have like say the cancer ward, the burn unit, the psych ward, the gift shop, the nurses station, all these different places that there's going to be a ghost, and this person's taking you around, giving you a tour of the different sections. So you're taking that theme. Mm-hmm. We're continuing the theme, like the overall kind of the magic that made the first one work. We're taking it into the second one. The covers, the green, like hospital green, pukey color.
Yeah.
Didn't we say that was like vomit camouflage?
I think yes, we did.
And
yeah.
So yeah,
the color I think is called taupe, Taupe. That's what they used to use in all of them back then because it was soothing.
Yeah,
but it looks like vomit. Yeah.
But we've already had an agreement. Clay McLeod Chapman's going to write the foreword on this one because he doesn't have time to write us a story. And yeah, like about a little over half of the people are coming back from house. So, oh, and my brother, this is going to be a real family one. My brother, who's a battlefield medic with the Marines back in Iraq War, he's writing a story in the burn unit. So
that is
epic. Wow.
I have to know.
His first writing credit.
Oh, very cool. Are you going to save the gift shop one for the last story? Because I feel like every hospital I've ever been into in my life, or like any museums, everything, like you always exit through the gift shop.
Who got the gift shop?
I don't think anybody has it yet.
No, I thought Brooklyn Ann did.
No, she has the hospital daycare because she wanted to do something with little creepy kid goats.
Yeah, well, we don't want to ruin it
Wow.
for you. The last story has to do with who's showing you around.
Oh, nice.
You want to break that news?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so we have to just like we did with House of Haunts. You find out at the very end who's been showing you around the entire property. So.
I love that. That was such a good setup when you guys did it before. I honestly, it was amazing, and I can't wait to see how it turns out with this too.
Yeah, and it should all look like the covers look exactly the same except the pictures and the colors. And we want to do several of these. So the next one, we need to think of a name for a school that starts with H.
I don't think we're gonna manage that.
Hostel of Haunts? I don't know. Hotel of Haunts. 23 floors.
Hotel of Haunts is one of the ones
We do want to do hotel. Yeah.
Nice.
There's this great haunted hotel in LA. Like where the girl was found dead in the water tank, right?
Yeah.
But it's got so many other weird stories to it. So I love the idea of a haunted hotel.
There is a pretty huge collective of about 50 or so writers on No Sleep over the last like 5 or 6 years that do a story called the Hotel Non-Dumont. You guys might want to check out for some ideas. I'm one of the writers and staff members. I used to be one of those in that particular collective, but
need to put in one of these.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, you guys should check that out because I didn't do any of the formatting for it, but like they had the people actually go in and do the maps for that as well, and like all the stuff for that was done before I got involved with it. But like the hotel setup is super, super cool, man, and it's a lot of fun because you get to do staff stories and not just guest stories too. The way we did it, it got really out of hand when you get 50 plus people on it.
Remember that when you read Hospital.
I cannot wait.
So we are reaching the end of the show, and I think one of the biggest things I did want to ask, well, I have like 3 questions I usually ask at the end of any interview. What character, and this is for each of you, what character do you want to have either like lunch or a coffee date with, and why? Any character you wrote.
Oh,
yeah, your characters.
Oh
my God, what a question. My characters are all either based on me. I mean, not, but you know, they're basically parts of me, or they're people I don't like.
You want me to go first then?
Yeah, you go first.
So I have a character named Archer Wisdom, and he shows up in the Western, but he's going to be in the rest of the series. And Archer Wisdom is an old prospector who turned in his pick and shovel for a Bible and teaches at this place in Old Tascosa called Old Churchman's Crossing. And so if you were to ever go to Old Churchman's Crossing in Tascosa and meet Archer Wisdom, that's who I would have lunch with. Well, he's in disguise. He's somebody else, but he's old Archer Wisdom. That's who I would eat lunch with.
Okay, my answer is going to be kind of cheesy and I don't know, weird. But in Tales My Grandmother Told Me, there's a story. It's just a little bitty short story called Up All Night. And it's about this woman who is like a single mom, she has 2 little kids. And this man has been like a peeping Tom basically at her house. But the police won't do anything about it because she can't prove who's been there. She hasn't seen who it is. and they don't have the manpower to like have somebody watching her house all the time. So she takes matters into her own hands, and she stays up all night with, you know, her daddy's old shotgun, and she ends up killing the guy as he tries to get in her house, and she's, you know, protecting her kids. And the reason I would choose her, this is where it gets cheesy, is because that story is actually based on something that happened to my grandmother. She did not kill the man, but there really was a man who was sneaking around her house at night when she was a single mom in the 50s, early 60s, I guess the 50s. She did have her shotgun. She did shoot straight down through the floor to scare him off, which happens in the story before she kills him. But that woman is sort of a representative of my grandmother. And I've talked about my grandma a lot in other podcasts and stuff. We were very, very close. She loved horror. She introduced me to horror books and movies and stuff. And of course, the book is Tales My Grandmother Told Me, and it is stories based on things that had happened in her life or in the lives of people in my family, or just the story she used to tell to scare us. So I feel like the character's name is Marla. And I feel like if I could sit down with Marla and have lunch, it would be like sitting down with my grandmother again. She could tell me her stories again.
That is beautiful.
No, that was pretty cheesy.
It is cheesy, but it's
I'd have had lunch with a guy who was peeping Tom. Just be like, what's going on there?
I feel that answer though. My grandma was the same way. She was a professional storyteller and got me into storytelling when I was a little kid, and it always went to like the paranormal and hauntings and horror. And I've actually used a lot of stuff that she's told me growing up in different story, like little pieces of things. So honestly, I think I'd probably given that a similar answer. And that was a great story. I love that story.
My next question is, everybody has an opinion on zombies. Can zombies climb?
I'm going with no.
That's just it. Just no.
You need higher brain power to.
I don't know. Are we talking dumb zombies or smart? Are these dumb, slow, shambling zombies, or are these smart, running zombies?
Yeah, there are 8 different classifications of zombie origins, actually.
Slow zombies who are just stupid. That's not terribly fun, right? That's not interesting. You can get away from them too easy. Why would you just no? Let's have some smart zombies. And I'm going to say they can climb in the beginning of their zombie life, but I feel like as they spent more time as a zombie, they're going to start.
It's breaking down.
Their bodies are going to be They're going to be losing some parts. So I feel like eventually they're going to get to a point where they can't climb. But in the beginning, yeah, I'm going to say they can.
Nice.
And for the last question, what is the best coffee?
Oh my God. Well, I literally never drank coffee in my life until Josh and I got together. So I'm kind of like a child when it comes to coffee, but my coffee that I drink every morning is just good old, what do we drink? Plain old Maxwell House coffee with Hershey's chocolate creamer in it, like a lot. So it's kind of like, it's like drinking hot chocolate with a tiny little bit of coffee.
See, I'd be down for that. I'm a hot chocolate guy, not so much the coffee guy.
Yeah.
That's my Deadly Grounds. I like Deadly Grounds.
Anywhere I go, I'll tell you my coffee order. Anywhere I go, it doesn't matter, Dunkin' or Starbucks or whatever. I get a hot caramel latte with double shots and add 3 sugars. That's my thing.
Awesome. And for the very last question of the show, for you guys, where do you want people to find you?
Really and truly,
after
we put all this, after we put all this together, we put everybody's social media links on watertowerhill.com. So really and truly, go to watertowerhill.com. All of our links are there. Our link trees are there. All of our authors' links are there. The story of how we got started is all there. So super easy, watertowerhill.com. Watertowerhill.com.
Awesome.
Watertowerhill.com.
Okay. Just in case nobody got it, watertowerhill.com. And you can find Watertower Hill Publishing. Okay.
And I just blasted it on our socials right there. So
nice. Appreciate it.
Okay, what about you, Patty? Where do you want people to find you?
Get it on my camera. I think it's all up in the description boxes, but I'm Patty Mouse everywhere. Unless you're looking for Serena, and then it's Serendity's Fall. fakeorpublishing.org. And yeah, that's fairly easy to find me.
What about you, Raz?
Well, you can find me at raztslasher.com. If you just type my name to pretty much any internet outlet, you'll find me popping up for either the haunted attractions, film, books, whatever you're into. I've probably done it at some point in time, even wrestling. Other than that, I'm probably at your mom's house, so say hi.
So you're in the graveyard. Gotcha.
Probably. I could be.
Yeah. That is
I'm
a
magic
horrible
like that.
joke. And but no, I'm not making fun of you. Both my parents have passed away, and every time he says that, I just say it. But either way, you can find me at Fake Horror. You can find me at Owlite. You can find me at Friday Library in the Blue Box, and you can find me at my author page on Jennifer Elliott. Thank you all for being here and watching us. And please, like we said, go to watertowerhill.com and look at all the books and read them.
Yeah.
And we're going to read them too.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your friends.
bye.